Hello and welcome to Indie Incursion, an indie games podcast, your weekly source for all the indie games news you need to know. This week we're bringing you sort of 3 news stories, but technically more. I mean, it's going to be a lot.
Yeah, I mean, but 3 of the news stories are like the same thing. It's just one big direct that they're talking about for individual products. So
yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm definitely gonna accidentally say the wrong thing, so I'm excited about that. But before we get into it, I'd like to introduce myself, Vaughn, alongside my illustrious co-host, the biggest of average, Josh Boys. How you doing today, big Josh Boy?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
I am fantastic, especially because I just realized instead of saying especially, I think I say especially.
Well, that marks the spot, right. So you know.
Oh. I mean, that's right.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Shit.
Doug Dimmadome.
You make a good point there.
Thank you.
I feel like that doesn't work in 90% of the words I flub, but maybe I'll just start saying it.
Yeah.
I accidentally say I don't know, Doge instead of dog, and then I'm like, X marks the spot, and they're like, I don't
understand. And you're like, well, that's because your brain's not big like me.
just a real smart boy. No, one of the main reasons that I'm super excited about this podcast today is because we are finally announcing that we are changing the name of Indie Incursion and Indie Games Podcast to just Indie Pod and Indie Games Podcast. Mm-hmm. Super easy. Nice. Thank you, Chris, for sending in. He actually sent in he sent in name suggestions, and one of them was I think it was the totally let me look them up. They were one was the totally PG Indie Games Podcast.
Oh yeah, that's legit.
And I was like, nah, I think that one will come back to bite us.
Irony is great. You gotta go with it.
I don't think many people would find it as ironic and funny as we did. Let me look, because he had another one. He had 2 different ones. He had The Big Indie Game Show, which I did enjoy. That was a good one.
That's a good one.
And then the other one was the Totally PG Indie Game Podcast.
I do like The Big Indie Game Show. I mean, then it would make sense with you always calling me Big Josh Boy, since it doesn't actually make sense for a name, but
I guess it would make sense, but instead we're going to go with our Twitter handle, which was and is IndiePod. Josh recommended that we just changed it to IndiePod because I wanted to do double I, and that didn't make a whole lot of sense, but we finally changed it. We've got a mascot now, which I feel like we're going to have to name in some way because I want to do more stuff with that character than just the one thing we're going to have.
He's pretty dope.
Maybe we call him Ronald.
Ronald?
Right?
I don't know. Let's brainstorm this a bit off the air, maybe. I don't know about Ronalds. I'm not too fond of Mr. McDonald's.
No, after I said it, I was like, nah, that's not. Yeah. That's Ronald McDonald. I don't know why I just said that. That's a bad one. So, well, we have changed the name. We've changed our graphics. We've done a lot of stuff. We're going to be putting out some new, cheaper T-shirts.
I can't wait.
Look forward to that later.
It'll be super cool.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for those ones, especially because Zoe, our good friend, also writes for Parallax. Mm-hmm. She made us a really, really cool graphic, an awesome new mascot. I'm excited to use it, and I'm also excited. Chase updated our normal graphic, like I said before. If you guys didn't know, he was actually the one who made that. I reached out to him to make the Indie Incursion, a Parallax Media podcast graphic. It's very good. If you guys would like graphics, obviously pester him because he'll do it. So,
all right then.
If my experience is evidence, just annoy the shit out of him until he does it for you.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I do for most people, Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Not intentionally. Yeah. I just end up annoying people,
Yeah, that's okay.
It checks out. Also, a little bit of housekeeping as well. We did actually just go on the Classic Gaming Podcast once again.
Yeah.
4 hours.
Long good podcast.
Josh stayed the whole time this time.
I'm a trooper.
That you are, especially because it's 1 a.m. for you.
It was pretty late. I'm not going to lie. At the end of it, I was feeling pretty ready to just pass out. But I pulled through, man. We made it.
The funniest thing about that is I was like, okay, I'm going to go to bed. My fiance, she like went to a friend's house and she wasn't back by the time we were done. So I was like, I'm just going to go to bed. I put the cats away and everything. We were all good because one of our cats sleeps in the bathroom because he's a dickhead and won't like stop fucking around so I can go to bed.
All right.
It's real nice. So he sleeps in his own room. And so I put the cats away and I get ready to go to bed. I'm like laying there, getting ready, closing my eyes, feeling a little sleepy coming on, and then she busts through like the Kool-Aid man is like, bitch, yo ass better wake up.
Damn.
And I was like, what is happening right now?
What did she want? Was she just like, give me
literally
attention?
Nothing.
Yeah.
She was annoyed about the fact that I had recorded a podcast for 4 hours and then just wanted to go to bed.
I mean, like I was saying off the air just a second ago, my wife was angry as well. She was mad because she fell asleep but didn't realize she fell asleep and thought she couldn't sleep because I was talking, even though I wasn't.
Have you ever had that thing where like, okay, so my fiance does this. I don't know if anybody else is going to understand this, but have you ever had it where like your wife is sleeping next to you, she says something in her sleep that you think she actually said? So for instance, my fiance was like, and at this time she worked at a movie theater. She was like, I'll sleep in. She's like, do you want butter on that? And I was like,
nice.
Did you just ask me if I want butter on that? And she was like, no, shut the fuck up.
Damn.
And was like mad at me.
Wow. No, I do not have that problem. But that's some nice dirty talk you guys got in the bedroom.
Yeah, I do like to rub butter on things,
Nice.
really.
That sounds hot.
Have you ever seen, what is it?
Butter? Yeah,
No,
I've seen butter before.
No.
No?
Can't believe it's not butter, actually. No.
Oh, nice.
Me
You
and
rubbing
Dupree?
margarine all over you?
That is so gross. I would fucking hate my life.
Wow,
No,
that's where
the
we draw
movie
the
with-
line.
Yeah. The movie with Owen Wilson, You, Me, and Dupree.
Isn't that the one with the dog? No, maybe I'm thinking of something.
No,
different.
that's Marley and Me. What are you even talking
Close enough, right?
Also Owen Wilson, but definitely not the same movie.
Well, then no.
Well, there's this sex scene in it where obviously it doesn't show anything because it's like a PG-13 movie. Lame.
So
But
does he just got like a stick of butter for a dick?
yes.
Wow,
No,
weird.
he's like having sex and he's taking butter and using it, and I'm like, what are you using it for? I think I know what you're using it for, but no,
That's the good stuff.
don't do that.
Yeah,
That's so gross.
when you're in a pinch and you need some lube, you know?
Yeah. The people talk about it like basting a turkey, and he took it literally,
Mm-hmm. That's a good butterball.
Speaking of good butterballs, don't know how this goes. Let's talk about what games we're playing. You're playing a game called Goblin Sword by just I don't even know.
try?
I'm not
You
even
wanna
gonna
try?
no. There's no world in which I try to say what I can only the only way I can explain this name is that that's just a dictionary entry. Like they were like that smart kid that like goes into the dictionary, finds the largest word ever, and is like, I can spell this word. And you're like, that's cool. I don't know how that's a skill, but like people who could spell Mississippi, I understand that's not that hard to spell, but for me, that's actually kind of an achievement. Or people who can like say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, whatever that shit
Hey,
is.
man, you did it.
You know.
You did it.
I definitely fucked it up, so
close
I do
enough.
not
Come
have
on
that
now.
skill,
You-
but somebody out
Good
there
enough.
does.
Anyway, let's talk about the game. So I've been playing Goblin Sword. The developer is Eleftherios Christoudalatos.
Wouldn't that be awesome if that's actually just the person's name?
Well, it is. So the last,
what the fuck? No way!
at least the last word in that for the developer studio is the guy's last name. Because the actual, where was it? The actual programmer who's on this, his name is John Christoudalatos. So I don't know where the Eleftherios part comes in. I don't know if that's just him like being like, that's a cool word, I want to put it there, or if there's like some meaning to it, but that's besides the point. So Goblin Sword is a game that originally released back in 2014 for mobile platforms. I didn't realize this until later after I got it. But it's still fun. It's now just being released on Nintendo Switch as of February 20th, so a few days ago, as of the time of recording this podcast. It is basically a 2D platformer where you play this character who is essentially the Goblin sword has been stolen and some evil force is trying to use it and you're trying to get it back. Very, brief storyline into it. But the way it works is, like I said, it's a 2D platformer where it plays very similar to, if you've ever played Rogue Legacy, kind of that style of combat where it's like you...
Love Rogue Legacy.
Yeah, so it's not the same in like... It's not a roguelite. It's the combat and the levels are all designed in a way where it's like, here's level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 kind of a thing. And you just go through stages. And they're always the same, so it's not like randomly generated or anything, but the actual platforming aspect of it and the combat of going through and fighting different enemies is very similar in that regard. Another reason why it kind of reminds me of it is as you're playing through the game, each of these stages you get forms of currency. So it's like little gems that you're finding throughout the stage. And that equates to gold coins when you add those gems up, and you're able to then go back to the shop and buy things. So you're able to buy relics, armor, and weapons. And the cool thing is these weapons all have different abilities. So it's based on range, speed, and attack damage. And so each one will have different, scales of how strong it is, how fast it is, how long of a distance, whether it's actually like a spear versus, a dagger kind of a thing. And the cool thing is, as you're playing on each of these stages, you get these weird orb things that drop, and they are basically special attacks that you can use. And each of these weapons have different special attacks and like unique mechanics that they play out. So it pushes you to constantly be like, oh, this one is stronger, but maybe it has a cooler special, so I want to actually buy this one. Or this one has more range because I keep fighting bosses, but I'm having a tough time because they get too close to me and keep hitting me. So it's a fun little way where you can just keep playing a level. The levels are fairly short, but some of them can be a little bit difficult in platforming and the enemies that you fight as you first start off. But there's that progression element of, you buy a new item or a weapon that makes you stronger, easily defeat other enemies, or has, a special power up. And you basically just go through defeating the levels. And as you defeat, I think you beat 8 levels and then a boss will appear. And once you beat the boss, you'll then go to the next stage. But the cool thing is, from a replayability stance, each one of those stages, even though you're able to go to the next one, you could go back and there's like an additional 12 or more stages, different levels that you can play in that same world, and then eventually bosses afterwards. So there's more to do if you want to, or you could just keep going through with the story. I've played, I think it's like 5 or 6 worlds so far. Relatively, at least from the way it seemed, it's looking at kind of like a couple hours worth of gameplay, and it was only like $3 or $4 on the eShop. So I mean, I'm having a fun time with it. I think it's pretty good. Keep in mind, like I said, this was an older mobile game that was ported, but it's there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's, out of the mobile game world, it's one of the better of the many that are out there. I'm having fun with it.
Okay, so an update on this name.
Yeah. Okay.
The developer, I guess, is actually called Gelato Games. Initially, I believe they went by that weird-ass name when they released it on iOS, but now that it's on Nintendo Switch, it seems like they've taken up the moniker of Gelato Games, which, no idea why. It's definitely not easier to say. Yeah, they're indie game developers and brothers, John and Lefteris, and then whatever that name is. So it seems like it was kind of like a combination of the two of their names.
Oh yeah, Gelato Games. Look at that. Interesting.
Yeah.
I like Gelato Games a lot better just because it's easier to say. Plus, I love gelato. That stuff is good.
Isn't it just kind of like ice cream but with egg?
It's delicious. You shut your fucking mouth.
No, that's a legitimate question. Is it just ice cream with egg?
How is gelato different than ice cream? Gelato is the Italian word for ice cream. It starts out
you
with
looked
a
that
similar
up
custard
so
base
fast
as ice cream, but has a higher portion of milk and a lower portion of cream and eggs, or no eggs at all. It's churned at a much slower rate, incorporating less air and leaving the gelato denser than ice cream. There you go.
Hold up. Did you just say that has less or no eggs?
But it starts out with a similar custard base as ice cream, but has higher portion of milk and a lower portion of cream and eggs.
Ew. I did not know that ice cream had eggs in it. I'm so turned off by ice cream.
Well, then you could always eat gelato instead.
The weirdest thing about that was I've been so turned off by gelato because I thought it had eggs in it.
Hilarious. Well, everything you know is a lie.
I know. The universe is a hologram.
Sure is.
Sadly, I have not played any games this week.
Loser.
Yeah.
How dare you?
I'm really kind of depressed about it, if I'm being honest. I don't know why I didn't play much. Like, I had a little bit of time.
It's okay. You know what? Why don't we'll do for the next week coming up, we'll play Temtem together. I'll force you to actually play a game.
You can play Temtem with me?
Yeah, let's do it. We'll make a date.
Hell yeah,
We'll make a date of it.
Okay, so you want to know something super depressing? When I initially bought Temtem, I wanted to actually do kind of like a first impression / like review in progress kind of a thing, and update it as it went on. But then I realized on my computer, and this is partly the reason why I'm actually building a new PC, but on my computer, I have to run so Temtem doesn't lag. I have to run it at such a low setting that their faces are all like scrambled and gross. It's so awesome.
Have you ever watched there's a YouTube channel that literally plays like newer games but on
shitty PCs?
Yeah, like the shittiest PCs, and they'll rate the game and they'll be like, these graphics are awful.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know why, it just made me think of that, like as if you doing that. There was one for the Outer Worlds that I saw recently that man, it had me cracking up. But yeah, that sounds like a struggle. I can't imagine having to look at that knowing that like this is not the quality that I should be getting for what I basically paid for.
Yeah, but I will be I am building a PC. So within the next month or two, I'm going to have it. And I'm going to be so stoked because I'm going to play a New World, you know?
Nice.
You know, Big Job Boy? Hell
welcome,
yeah.
welcome.
That's not an indie game, though, so let's...
Well,
yeah, let's get
I mean,
back on pace, okay?
I'm so sorry.
We can't get too far into the PC Master Race.
That's true.
I'm sorry, Josh. I got to keep you on track. I can't let you
come on, man.
go
Let's
off into
talk
the
about
weeds.
it. Let's go all through the weeds. Actually, I'm kind of nervous about it too, because that's why I'm like, we should play Temtem, is because the stuff that's coming up right now. Yakuza just came out on Xbox Game Pass, and I'm looking at that, and I'm like, I kind of want to try it. So.
You're getting afraid you're gonna become a Yakuza fan?
Maybe.
They got like
I don't know.
Freaking 6 games in that series. No, I think, is it Yakuza 7 that's coming out soon?
Yeah.
That's a departure, and it's actually like a turn-based game?
I'm actually like, okay, so I want to see how I feel about this one, but to be honest, I probably will love 7 based on what I've heard.
Yeah, that is like it's heavily inspired by Dragon Quest.
Yeah. I'm.
Speaking of inspiration,
Let's do it.
Let's hop into these news stories. So this is where it comes to it. So we initially had a news story that was just saying that Yacht Club was teasing that they were doing a live stream today, but obviously they did a live stream. So we got a bunch of news from it. The two quick things I want to get out of the way right now, just because they're kind of just like dates or announcements of games, and then the real news story is this last one. So let's talk about Cyber Shadow. It's finally got a release window, which is fall 2020. Super stoked for that one. I believe they actually set a price, which is $15. Yep. This game looks dope, and we got a good trailer for it.
Yeah,
it looks awesome.
I mean, it does look pretty cool. The problem is, like, looking at this game, I feel like this is one of those games where I'm like, this is going to be fun, and for some reason it'll just slip out of my radar, like, kind of a thing. I don't know. The more I look at it, the more it feels like something that will be fun, but wouldn't hold me through the entire playthrough, I guess. I don't know. I'll have to see. Once it comes out and once the reviews come out, I'll have more of like all right, I got to try it or not. But right now, it looks cool to me, but I just don't think I'll end up playing it.
All right, don't know if it has lasting value. What about this other game, Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon, which has yet to be confirmed as a mobile title, by the way. They have yet to confirm...
it looks like a mobile title, and it does say Pocket.
Let alone it's called Pocket Dungeon. Yeah. They have yet to confirm it's a mobile title, and they have yet to confirm a release like window or anything like that. It was kind of just an announcement. What do you think about this game? This one is more of like a... I don't want to say a puzzle match 3 game, but it seems very much like one.
It reminds me a lot of what is it? The music-based dungeon crawler. They just recently made a Zelda version of it. God, I can't remember the game.
Crypt of the
Necrodancer. Yes, it reminds me a lot of that because it looks like it's based on every time you move, the enemy moves. I don't know if that's correct or if it's just that you moving is at the same rate as the people dropping. But the fact that you're able to just move all around the map and attack them, it reminds me a lot of that mechanic of like everything is moving at the same rate. I think it's a very interesting change to the puzzle mechanic of like you have to match characters, but you're also damaging yourself each time you attack them. So you have to both take like a kind of like that risk approach of I have to actually watch my health and see if I can kill these people, or I have to make sure I actually match as many people as I can because there's a risk of matching just, a few people at a time. So I'm actually really excited for this. I think depending on how it actually turns out, I feel like this could be a game that I'm really into.
The more I look at this, the more it seems like kind of a play on Tetris because they come from the top and like as they slowly move down, you're supposed to like clear blocks. So it seems like this is just highly inspired by Tetris with obviously like other inspirations as well because you could buy power-ups and you could do all sorts of other stuff. But
yeah, I really enjoy the twist on this type of genre of making it more like an actual adventure game, but with this, puzzle mechanic stretched in between each of those pieces, which is usually lacking in a lot of puzzle games because it's more just the emphasis on the puzzle. But I think it makes sense, especially with a character that's already well known, to have a little bit more to it than just the like, hey, it's Shovel Knight doing this weird puzzle thing,
Yeah. And my favorite part about this, and it's probably not a surprise, I love that they're like kind of like squished chibi versions of all the people.
I'm sure.
I think they're so cute. I really, really enjoy that. That's my favorite thing about Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon. I don't play mobile games all that much, so I don't know if I will actually get into it when it comes out.
I feel like this will go on the Switch though anyway. Like,
oh yeah, that is also just expecting it to be a mobile title. It's probably coming to Switch.
Yeah,
as well,
they'd
like
be crazy not to also put this on the Switch. Like, I feel like the Switch and mobile games do go very hand in hand. We just talked about how a mobile game was ported to the Switch, and like I think it is in that same lieu of environment where you have that portability and the emphasis on like being able to just pick it up and play that puzzle game on the go and then put it away, kind of a thing. Like, it's also I'm pretty sure, I think it was Shovel Knight, we had an article a couple episodes back where we were saying that Shovel Knight, most of their actual funds were because of the Nintendo Switch version. Like, there's a very high percentage, so I cannot fathom that they would just be like, yeah, let's not use our most profitable console that we have right now. Like, it just wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, you'd lose out on all those customers.
For sure.
At least at launch, which I imagine if it launched on mobile and then came to Switch, they would still get nearly the same amount of money, but I imagine it would just releasing simultaneously on Switch and mobile would be a good idea.
Yeah, and it even says currently the release date, the official press kit, no. The release date and platforms are TBD, according to the official press kit, but shortly after, PlayStation uploaded a trailer for the game onto its YouTube channel. So...
oh, shit!
We have an inkling that PlayStation might have it. And if PlayStation has it, I'll be damned if Switch doesn't.
Oh, yeah. If anything, they're coming to Nintendo first. Like, there's no way that they release on PlayStation before Nintendo. I don't think. I mean... technically, yes, Shovel Knight did come to PlayStation before the Nintendo Switch, but that's also because, the Switch wasn't out then. And it also came to Wii U and 3DS. So
Yeah.
I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. Speaking of Shovel Knight, we've got more Shovel Knight news from this live stream. This news story is actually over from on Twinfinite. It's written by Grayson Morales. Great guy. Super cool guy. This is Shovel Knight developers currently have 2 entirely new games in development. During Yacht Club Games live stream presentation today, the studio revealed that it is currently working on 2 entirely new games that are still a ways off. Yacht Club Games' Sean Velasco, I believe is how you say his name.
That sounds right.
Had this to say about their new titles in the works from the famed Shovel Knight developers. Jesus, I gotta swallow.
I was like,
I got way too much in my mouth, dude.
I am speaking now.
I had to prepare you.
Of course.
I needed you to shut up while I read.
I now know. I'm so sorry. Please continue.
Yeah, don't distract me. God, we all know that I need a complete concentration.
That is true.
Like a wizard. Okay, speaking of new things, you might be wondering what we're making next. We can finally confirm that we've begun internal development on new projects. That's right, projects, as in more than one. Wouldn't it be interesting to see a brand new IP from Yacht Club Games? If you love Shovel Knight, then you'll surely be interested in these games as well. Rest assured that our signature approach to game design, characters, and story will be front and center. These brand new games are a ways off. Please begin to imagine. I do think this is interesting the way he says this. These brand new games are a ways off, but please begin to imagine what kind of games we'll be crafting during 2020, the year of the rat. What?
They're gonna, all those rats that are in Shovel Knight, they're gonna make a whole game out of those guys. All their little
that would be
flying
interesting.
mobile things.
I fucking hated those, but yeah, I did like how you could just pogo on them and they fall to their deaths. You're like, I feel like this plan wasn't thought out well. Yeah.
Maybe
you
they'll
definitely
they're gonna make the what's that one Plague game that I just called? They'll make the sequel. They'll work on it. A Plague Tale.
Yeah, a Plague Tale Innocence.
Yeah. They'll just do that, but with their rats instead. Dude, I'd love to see a mod of that, like a Plague Tale, but just the rats from
from helicopter rats. Yeah. So we can never escape them. That would suck so bad.
It would.
I would just die. Also, it is kind of interesting that they say you might be wondering what we're doing next. We can finally confirm that we've begun internal development on new projects. They confirmed on the No Clip podcast on its most recent podcast, or no. Somebody went on, not the most recent one because that was somebody from Doom, but the one before that, the person who went on, I forget who it was, actually talks about them working on something new and starting internal development already on something new. So that's kind of weird.
Yeah, it was interesting. I don't know if you actually watched the direct, but while they were doing this, it was kind of funny. They were like, "We're working on new stuff," and they kept showing video of people in the office working and talking, kind of just random B-roll of standard office stuff, but it was all of them. But anytime it would show a computer screen or a notebook on the table, it would be blurred out so that you couldn't see what they're actually working on.
It would have been so much funnier if they just covered it with a Shovel Knight sticker or something.
Yeah.
Digitally put a Shovel Knight head in there or something stupid.
It was very strange. Which I'm super excited for it though, because I think I don't really care. Shovel Knight is definitely good. There's a lot of qualities to it that are super just spot on with what they were going for, but I'd really like to see kind of what this studio can come up with next, because there's good writing in these. There's a good amount of platforming finesse that they've shown that they can mirror in their games, and I really want to see an actual new IP after all of the being stuck in the Shovel Knight world, just because as good as all of those games are, I think a breath of fresh air for this team and for the people consuming products from Yacht Club will be kind of not, I don't want to say deserved, but it will be appreciated, because I don't know. I think they do good stuff, and I'd like to see what they can actually change from, not being restricted to that kind of world.
Yeah, it is also cool that they're kind of like licensing out this IP to other indie devs.
Mm-hmm.
So that even if you want more Shovel Knight content, you're not being thrown off, because now they have like Pocket Dungeon, they have Dig. Like, you get your Shovel Knight fix no matter what. It just doesn't mean that Yacht Club has to work on it specifically.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, because I think, they still own the IP. They still want to be a part of it, but now they have companies that are partnering with them, and they get to say, like, hey, you're in charge of making the game, but, like, we're going to consult and make sure that you're not going way out of, the franchise's actual boundaries. But I definitely am, like, I'm more excited about Shovel Knight Dig because I think it's more in my realm of type of games, and I am a big fan of Nitrome and their work, so I'm super excited with what that amounts to. So I'm actually glad that they're licensing it out to other developers. Plus, because it's good just for those smaller indie devs who are try to up and come into the field themselves, to actually have an IP that's famous, to be like, oh, those are the guys who worked on Shovel Knight. Like, the next thing they do, maybe Nitrome will be bigger now, because they made Bomb Chicken, which was a good game, but like I don't think that really went anywhere for their main influence. When people talk about, like, when Shovel Knight Dig started coming up in the media, no one really talked about that. No one really knew about Nitrome. They were just like, oh, Nitrome are these people who did a bunch of Flash games back in the day, which they were, but it's like, well, they also worked on more relevant stuff, but it just wasn't as known.
Yeah, the weirdest thing about Shovel Knight Dig was that there were like people who would talk about the game but not know at all that it wasn't actually developed by Yacht Club.
Yeah. Well, that is kind of an issue. That's the same thing we've talked about with like Devolver Digital or like Chucklefish, is like, when someone is a big enough publisher, or in this case, when the IP is so big, like, you're not...
And synonymous with a certain developer.
Exactly. You're not going to immediately think of them. So there is some kind of pushback on that, but I think it's good from like a... I guess more of like a resume standpoint, or like, they'll have more credibility in the field, maybe with more developers or, more industry leaders. I don't know. But I think it's still good, because at least I'm sure Shovel Knight Dig will get way more money for, Nitrome. If it was just like Random Boy Dig, like, they're not going to get the same kind of hype behind it, even if it is as good of a game.
Yeah, just using the IP will actually help them get the word out and increase sales.
Right.
Do you think that Yacht Club, like, later down the road, will ever return to the Shovel Knight IP?
I mean, I think so. I think it also depends on how these two games kind of pan out, If these are two, like, major flops, I could definitely see them going back, because they're like, whoa, we gotta go back to, our roots, kind of a thing. We got to make sure that we actually have money to keep the company afloat. But at the same time, I think it would be a long time otherwise before they go back to it, because like
they just created basically 4 Shovel Knight games.
Yeah, realistically, like, what do you really want next? Like, I guess you could make one for every night, which you could do, but like, that's gonna get exhausting. There's people who have already expressed a lack of interest just because they're like, it's the same thing over and over again, which I disagree, but like, I understand why. So I feel like even if they wanted to, from a marketing standpoint and just from like keeping your IP fresh, I think it makes more sense to leave it for a while and let it cook, so that people can, a couple years from now be like, man, you know what I really want? Another Shovel Knight campaign. That would be great. Like, because right now, there's going to be some people who want that, but like others are going to be like, I just had like 4 of them. I bought, like, there's going to be people who just bought Treasure Trove, played 4 straight campaigns, and are like, I'm pretty good on Shovel Knight,
Yeah. Speaking of being lukewarm on a video game, let's move on to our next news story. This one is over on Nintendo Life. It's written by Ryan Craddock, and it is Kunai Team discusses the very stressful impact of Metacritic review bombing. I'm going to skip the first part of that, with the exception of, let's get this out of the way real quick, just the definition of review bombing. It's when people go to different like aggregate sites like Metacritic or OpenCritic. Sometimes they do it on Steam as well. And they submit a mass amount of negative reviews, even though they I'm not saying they haven't played the game, but they might not actually have those feelings about it. It's pretty much just to fuck up the review score of the video game.
Yep.
That's what
messed
review
up
bombing
people
is. Would you say that was a sufficient definition of what review bombing is?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I don't think it's always, because one of the things, and they get more into this in the article, is it's like it might be the same person who's just doing it over and over again. It could be
ton of... Apparently this person said that they did 200 reviews.
Yeah, so it might not even be a large group of people. It could just be a small select group that is just trying to make this person, this game, this company, whatever, have terrible ratings from a user review scale.
Yeah, it all just depends on how hard it is to game the system, I guess.
Right.
This article goes on. It says, we've almost come to expect it with certain major releases. Speaking about review bombing, by the way. Both major Pokemon releases have been targeted on Switch, and with fans being quick to accuse... actually, I'm going to skip that part, too, because, Pokemon was review bombed at a time. Astral Chain was, one of the... I think Shadow of the Tomb Raider has been. One of the Hitman games has been. A bunch of different games. I remember Shadow of the Tomb Raider specifically because it had just gone on sale or some shit like that. Or no.
Oh, it was
just released and then it went on sale almost immediately after. And people were so pissed that they review bombed it. Yeah, that one was crazy. So let's get into this. Game programmer Benjamin D. Yeager, I believe is how you say his name, managed to find out that in Kunai's case, because Kunai was review bombed on Metacritic, there was only one person to blame, which is extra unusual. In a blog post on Gamasutra, he presented evidence of a Reddit user almost boasting about their review bombing antics, explaining that they manipulated Metacritic's review system. The bomber said, I made 200 different accounts just to ruin the game score. Some of the negative impacts of an act like this are obvious. Would you spend money on a game that you saw had lots of seemingly real users appear to be overly disliking it? Yeah, okay, whatever. But it goes much deeper than that. The folks over at GamesIndustry.biz have shared an interview with the producer Bram Stege, something like that, and Datumu, interesting, head of marketing. Okay, dude, I'm just gonna skip over that one because I'm not even gonna try. Who explained the very stressful impacts of review bombing can have. We've shared some select quotes below. I think this is DeSosa, but I'm not 100% sure. He goes on to say, review bombings are something we see from time to time, but usually not on indie games, and usually they have a message behind it because developers change something because the online is really bad. Usually there's an agenda behind it, but here it's just a random dude picking a random game to review bomb because they can. Steg said, or Steg, I don't know, it causes stress. You hope that the audience of Metacritic is smart enough to see, they got an 8.3 from critics and a 1.6 from players, so there must be something up. You hope it doesn't affect sales. I don't know if it affected sales, but it does generate a lot of stress. You've been working for 2 years on this game, you put all your blood, sweat, and tears into it, and then one guy on a Sunday afternoon with basically no effort can bomb your score from a big positive score to a 1.7. It's very stressful. It also has an effect on a studio going forward, especially when it comes to learning about what gamers like and disliked about certain game features. DeSosa went on to say, we're always looking at reviews. It's interesting just to have the feedback. Sorry, I lost my place for some reason. When you're working on the game for 2 years, you get tunnel vision and you don't always see other points of view. Sometimes we see reviews and it's just someone who played the game for 20 minutes and gave it a 0. So it doesn't depend on the quality of So it does depend on the quality of reviews. But someone who played the game for 30 hours and gave good feedback, whether it's positive or negative, is a really interesting read.
Wow.
So how do you feel about this review bombing shit?
Dude, I'm reading the actual Reddit post of like the guy talking about this. What an idiot. He goes on a huge rant about how he initially did this once to like Pokemon Sun and Moon because they took out some girl that he just like some girl he couldn't.
He was standing some chick?
Yeah, something like that, and he was just like pissed off, and then he was like, oh, so to like kind of show this as an example of how shitty Metacritic is, I did it to a random game, so I picked Kunai. Like literally there is no reason he did this other than
it was just to show he could,
and because he was apparently like at the last part he's like and also bombed a random game on Metacritic because of anger. I will admit I was kind of high when I was doing that and writing this, but still. Like, this guy's just high, angry, and just is like, Metacritic is stupid. I'm going to take it out on this kunai game. Fuck this game. Like, what is your problem? It's literally one guy has destroyed kunai from a Metacritic standpoint, which means there's potentially, and you know, this really sucks for indie developers because they have it as hard as they can. But like, there's people who aren't going to know that this happened, aren't going to ever see anything about this. Look at the user score. It's going to be 1.7 and they're going to be like, shit game, don't buy. And that's it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what news story it was. I don't know if it was possibly something I heard on Screencast or not. Kind of funny Screencast. They might have been talking about it on there about how I think IMDb does movie reviews and people were like review bombing certain movies. So then you had to actually prove that you had seen the movie to then review it. Do you think we'll eventually go towards something like that where to combat review bombing, which I guess if there is a positive from this, it shows that this guy is showing that it's so easy to review bomb games that maybe Metacritic will change their system and make it a lot harder for this to happen, similar to how Steam has been doing recently. But, well, I guess actually, did Steam change the way that they did reviews, or did they just erase people's negative reviews?
Usually, well, I think, from what I remember, I think it's that they just remove it. Because it's not hard to make a Steam account either. Like,
yeah. You just have to have an email.
Yeah, which is the same as Metacritic. I think it's just not as done as often because I believe you have to own the game on Steam to make the review.
I believe it. Because it even recommends after you've played it for like an hour or so.
Yeah, once you've purchased it, there will be like an opening to review it. So I might be wrong, but that being said, like, I definitely think this is kind of a call to action on Metacritic's part where it's like, at least do something or be quicker. Like the fact that this has been out, like this story has been out for a while and Metacritic has it still at a 1.7, I believe. Let me take a look though. I might be wrong.
While you're doing that, let me ask you a question.
All right.
Is kunai a roguelike?
No.
I don't remember anything in that game.
Okay, no, it is back to 7.6. That's good at least.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
at least they took action and kind of like fixed it.
Yeah, that is good because that's pretty messed up. So I'm glad that Metacritic at least is on top of it for the most part. But like it still shouldn't be that easy to do, you know?
Yeah. The reason I asked about the roguelike thing is because the title for Nintendo Life's review of Kunai is Kunai's pacing problems undermine this otherwise likable roguelike. It's not a roguelike.
I mean, yeah, I would classify it as a Metroidvania. I wouldn't classify it as a roguelike. I mean, it has...
Even the developers classify it as a Metroidvania.
Yeah, I don't... Because, I mean, I wouldn't really... There's not really roguelike elements. There's more RPG and progression elements, which are still, you know, very similar to a Metroidvania, so I would still just keep it in that category. Like, usually when you think of roguelike, it's, you know, more of that... actual dying and restarting in certain worlds. Roguelike elements usually make it so it's not as harsh, where it's not, full retry each time. It's usually more like, oh, okay, well, you have the progression of upgrading your character, which can go then back into that, and then it's more of, not as debilitating or, not forgiving. But you really don't get that same kind of style with this. This is more of just like your classic Metroid game.
Yeah, super weird. Let's end the news. The main story.
The news is over.
Specifically. Oh, no, I was going to say let's end it.
No more news. It's over.
Oh, okay. Let's just go to news, Cram. Let's end it on a good note with this next news story over on Nintendo Life, written by Ryan Craddock. It is almost 1,000 players gave to charity via Lydia's donation DLC on Switch, and a new bundle is now available. This one's just a real quick one, but I wanted to end on something nice. Cool. Last month saw the launch of Lydia on Switch, a narrative game that's based on real experiences and tragic childhood memories of its developers. I'm not going to read the shameless plug for their review. The game launched alongside an optional $1 DLC purchase, which gives players an in-game coloring book for Lydia, but more importantly helps raise money for fragile children, or fragile childhood, not fragile
all
children.
The fragile children out there.
Fragile Childhood, a non-profit organization preventing harm caused by parental substance abuse. Today, publisher Nakana.io has revealed that almost 1,000 players have generously spent their money on the DLC, releasing a full game and bundle as a result. So this is just something nice.
Yeah.
A $1 DLC ended up generating like $1,000 basically for a charity.
I mean, that's great, especially when you think of this is an indie game. This is very, niche in its style. I'm sure there's also a much smaller player base than you would get from, many of the games out there. So I think it is super cool that, there is at least 1,000 people out there who saw that and were like, all right, yeah, I'll give $1, It's not the biggest donation in the world, but $1,000 is a big deal for, the people who it goes to, that it can actually help out for. If everyone chips in $1, then, it can amount to something substantial.
Yeah, we talked about a couple of different charities that indie games have been basically donating to for the most part. Like how we talked about that one game that on their website specifically they were donating all of the proceeds to the wildlife, the wildfire efforts in Australia. I wish we would have gotten updates from those. I think it would have been cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look
just
into
any
that.
sort of
to see how much money actually went to it, or what percentages, because that was our main concern, was how much is going to Steam, which is only a percentage of it, and how much are people actually going to the website and paying the full 100% to go to charity.
Yeah, or the How Humble bundle had that that they had a bundle that all the proceeds went to the wildfires in Australia and stuff like that. It would have been cool to basically get any sort of updates on those, because it is nice to hear back from these developers doing these things and seeing that they got any measure of success, because in a way that might incentivize other developers to do the same.
Right, and it might incentivize people to actually go for
give
give for because this is definitely a different one, because this is more of the developer being I can't give up money myself because I have to eat, kind of a thing. But by giving that option of hey, this is a cause that we really stand by, and because of what the game is all about, we can't give our own money, but if you're willing to, or if we've if anyone out there has had this kind of issue, we're giving you the avenue to actually give to that community. So I think it's definitely different. I think it's still good, because this is one of those things where you don't have to do it if you don't want to. There's no force that's saying you have to give $1 to pay for this DLC. There's nothing that has to tell you that you have to give to charity, but this is, if you want to, it's an option.
Yeah, it's a very nice story. I enjoy it. Now let's move into news. Cram!
Cram.
That was a good one.
Thank you.
That one just slid off the tongue. It was kind of I want to say scat, but I know that's poop. What is that kind of?
That is scat.
That's also that?
something like that.
Was that
Like-
the Super Mario World song that you just did?
No, I was just saying Cram a bunch of times. I don't know what song it was. Maybe it was.
I
don't know.
swear that tune was like Mario World or something.
No, that would be more like. Well, I guess it kind of was. It would be like cram, 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 like something like that.
All right, for those who like the Cram segment, I'm glad they got multiple Cram songs.
Oh yeah,
okay?
I feel real stuffed right now. I am all crammed out.
News Cram is our weekly wrap-up segment where we, the hosts of Indie Incursion, an indie games podcast, newly known as Indie Pod.
I was gonna say.
an
I was
indie
like, what are
games
you doing?
podcast.
We
Yeah.
just changed our name.
Oh, I'm just going to say it for the rest of this episode,
see,
but
I
after
see.
this episode, going forward, we are known as Indie Pod. Just letting you guys know.
The indie.
Make it real easy for you.
That's true.
This is where we cram you full of all sorts of indie games news stories. This week in News Cram, we have just a buttload, like 4,
Wow.
I guess, which is
A whole buttload.
Yeah.
That's a good cram if I ever heard so.
I know. I was like, I feel a little ashamed that I just said buttload in the freaking News Cram. So we got a bunch of quick news stories for you before we hop into some awesome deals and some new stuff. Our first quick news story for today comes by way of Twinfinite, where it's reported that creature collection game Temtem by Crema has officially sold over 500,000 copies.
That's a
As
lot.
well as that's a shitload. As well, especially for $35.
Mm-hmm. That's a good amount of money. I could go for that kind of money.
Yeah, 35 over 500,000. That'd be pretty sweet. Pretty
Fair
sweet.
enough.
I mean, except for that 25% cut that Steam gets for some reason.
These monsters.
As well as the news that the developers are currently working on a roadmap for the game and all its upcoming updates. Next, over on GameSpot, where it's reported that Gears for Breakfast, the developer behind popular 3D platformer A Hat in Time, is currently working on getting the game's 2 DLCs on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I don't know why. All they've said is they've had some sort of technical difficulties in dealing with these DLCs on these
That's weird.
platforms.
I don't know
So,
what would have been different, but
especially since they're on PC and Nintendo Switch. They have those updates on both, just not PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
yeah, I don't know what that issue would be. Whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
super weird.
damn, it sucks because I just want them to make a new game, but whatever.
I mean, get your DLC to everybody, okay?
I guess.
Let everybody sink their toes into. I don't know any of the DLCs for A Hat in Time. Just any of them, I guess.
Just sink their toes in everything.
As well as reporting that the entire collection of SteamWorld games are headed to Google Stadia at a later date, with Stadia Pro members getting both SteamWorld Dig 2 and SteamWorld Quest for no additional charge. And lastly, over on Nintendo Life, it's reported that Team 17, the publishers behind many an indie game, including Overcooked, have just partnered with One More Dream Studios to bring puzzle platformer Ageless to Nintendo Switch. Now on to some new deals and quick steals. This week we have 2 deals that are guaranteed to save you guys some money. Guys and gals, sorry.
Hot damn.
First, for this... Sorry, I fucking having an issue reading my own writing. I hate it. First, for the week spanning February 27th to March 5th, you can get exploration game Inner Space completely free on the Epic Games Store. And lastly, if you head over to Humble Bundle, you can now get an amazing deal for upwards of $10. That includes Slay the Spire, Armello, For the King, and more. This deal only lasts until March 10th, so make sure you get it while you can. This is kind of your bundle, dude.
Yeah.
Slay the Spire. I mean, For the King. I don't know if you like Armello, but...
I already have them, though. I mean, I don't have Armello, but I already have Slay the Spire and For the King.
Yeah, but you don't have Armello, though. And there was 3 other games in there.
Let's see.
There's a lot of games in that bundle.
Let me look at this bundle. Oh, I actually did want this because I kind of wanted Gremlins, but I just wanted to pay
You
the $1.
fucking bitch. You're telling me.
I mean, I'm only gonna pay the $1 one to get the first tier. I don't need no Armello. I mean, maybe. I always see it. I'm always like, it might be fun, but
It looks very interesting.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. I have it physically, but I haven't played it.
What
so.
the fuck?
Okay, it's been a while since I've said something like that. I'm just saying, I feel proud of myself that I haven't said that in a long time.
Well, it's kind of interesting that pop-up dungeon comes with it. I have that game too. That's one of the bonuses from this is a pop-up dungeon demo. I've talked about this on the podcast before. It's a very like niche, like really weird game where you're playing as kind of like a pop-up book. Essentially, all your characters are like made of cardboard that are like folded together in a weird way, but it's like a roguelite dungeon crawler tactics game.
Did a full review on Parallax for it, right?
Did I? Oh no, that was
way back when.
There was a time where when I was doing Parallax stuff where I did like an indie game spotlight every week, and I would do like hey, this is a cool indie game that you might not know about, but there wasn't a lot of traction with it. There, like, I remember the view count was like really low, so I ended up just killing that initiative.
All right. Let's move on to some new stuff. Our first 7 items in new stuff come by way of Nintendo Life. It was reported that adventure game Figment Creed Valley by Bedtime Digital Games is headed to the Nintendo Switch sometime this fall. That medical sim 2 Point Hospital by 2 Point Studios is out now on the Nintendo Switch as of this recording. That action roguelike game Spartan Fist by Glass Bottom Games is headed to the Nintendo Switch on February 28th. That visual novel Seabed by Paleontology, I believe, is how you actually say the developer's name, is headed to the Nintendo Switch on March 19th. That JRPG Arafel, and that's A-R-A space F-E-L-L. Arafel by Stegosoft Games is headed to the Nintendo Switch on March 26th. That roguelike One Step from Eden by Thomas Moon Kang is headed to the Nintendo Switch on March 26th. And that action platformer King Lucas by Devilish Games is available on the Nintendo Switch as of this recording. And to round out the group over on GameSpot, it's reported that action adventure game Disc Room by Terry, Dose, Kitty, and JW, the team behind Minute, will release sometime in autumn of 2020. That action game Ruiner by Reckon Games is headed to the Nintendo Switch sometime soon. That one was really ambiguous. They put it in like fucking binary. It was weird as shit. But apparently somebody decoded it and it said sometime soon, which is pretty underwhelming.
Yeah. That's a good time frame there.
This one's going to suck because I don't know how to say the name. That horror game, World of Horror by Panstaz. Maybe.
Wow.
It's, okay, let me spell this out for you. It's Panstaz.
Yeah.
How would you say that?
Yeah, Panstaz works for me.
All right, let's go with that one then. It's something like that. It was just added to the massive library of games within Xbox Game Pass on PC, specifically. Just PC. Not console. Just letting you know.
Perfect.
And lastly, that medieval sim, Mountain Blade 2, Bannerlord by Tailwords Entertainment, is launching in Steam Early Access on March 31st. So, Big Josh Boy, we've been blessed with so many amazing indie game news stories that I think it's about time we give back to the creators in our last segment, or second to last segment.
Almost.
God bless the crowd. This is where we hop into all sorts of crowdfunding sites, specifically Big Josh Boy does, finds some awesome games for us to talk about, and we do just that. This week we've got Dungeon Drafters, a roguelike dungeon crawler that draws upon the magic of cards. This team is looking for $12,336. That's their goal. They, at the time of this recording, have $13,329 with 373 backers and 20 days left to go. To get in on the ground floor and actually get the game, you have to pay $25. Mm-hmm. Okay, Big Josh Boy, how you feel about this one? It's got cards, it's got dungeon crawling, it's got roguelite. I mean, really, this is your jam.
This is my jam. This, yeah, so the one difference with this is it's a card game, it's a roguelike, but it plays into like a strategy game, a turn-based strategy, kind of similar to something like Fire Emblem. It reminds me, we talked about this before the podcast, it reminds me the card-based mechanic and like fighting mechanic of it, very similar to like a Mega Man Battle Network, especially with the art style to this game as well, because it has a very like anime kind of cartoony aesthetic to it that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I like how they have these accentuated animations where running is so cartoony.
Yeah. Like I really enjoy a lot that's going on in this game. I think that the turn-based, like strategy-based combat of it is a little bit of a turnoff for me because I'm generally not that crazy with that style of gameplay. It just usually gets old for me. But a lot of this looks really unique. The fact that they have all the different card types and like card groups to build out different types of decks, the fact that you have a different characters, so they each, I'm assuming, have different abilities based on the character you're playing, which is this one like girl and this bunny looking character.
They both have different ones. They start out with different card archetypes. So the mage, which is the girl with red hair, has a raider and oracle deck, which is it's based. Its essence is subtlety. Its playstyle is strategic, and it aspires control. And then raider is power, aggressive, and destruction. So it seems like it's a mix between strategic thinking and like really aggressive gameplay, whereas the explorer is traveler and warden, which is traveler is the playstyle is positional, the essence is speed, and it aspires momentum, and then warden is tactical resilience and safety. So it looks like it's kind of like a moving tank, at least for that one.
Yeah. And then there's, I really like the last one, which
Stranger,
which is the essence of chaos. Playstyle is tricky and aspires transgression. Like that's probably what I would end up trying to build a deck with. But I think it's interesting. They mention that like that's what the starting decks are, but as you progress,
you can always change it.
As you progress, you can change whatever cards you want. So you can build, whatever character to be whoever you want them to be. I'm kind of hoping there's like still passive abilities for each character, and hope that there's a little bit more to it than just the visual aspect of it. But at the same time, I do like that they give you that option of like, hey, here's these starting decks, because it's good to at least give you that, that balance of like, these are two different totally, play styles that it seems like that would be more, like we talked about, more of a tank who's more on actually positioning themselves correctly versus someone who's more about like aggression and just maybe more glass cannon type of character. So I don't know. We'll have to see. All in all, though, I think it's definitely my style. I think the $25 is a little high from a Kickstarter perspective, but this game looks really fleshed out at the stage that it's at already, and looks really cool. So I'm also expecting, I don't know why, it just seems kind of like JRPG-ish to me, so it seems like this is going to be a game that's relatively long. I might just be making an assumption on that, but that also might be a reason why it's $25, because it's a bigger game, perhaps. But also it's not unheard of to pay $25 for a Kickstarter game, and when this comes out, it'll probably be something like $30-$40 anyway, so you'd still probably get a discount regardless. And it's also just to be a part of that community, to say like, hey, I was the person who backed this, kind of a thing. I don't know, I like just about everything about this. This is more of me just being like, do I want to shell out the $25?
Yeah, I love so much about this game. I mean, I love its art. I love its character design. I love all the animation. There's so much about it that I love, but the gameplay itself, the deck building, and like the kind of like card battling system, and in a way like turn-based combat, they don't really resonate with me. I play a little bit, but I don't play a lot. So a $25 like price tag for me is a bit steep.
Yeah, for sure.
This will be one that I definitely will get, but it's gonna be when it comes out, like on sale, probably like a year after it comes out, because I am looking forward to it. This game looks dope.
Yeah, and at the same time, like, I'm right there with you. We've talked about this before, where the reason why I always go into being like, I don't like card games, is because there's a big proportion of card games that generally are this style of you get a ton of cards, and a lot of the fun is people being like, oh, I'm going to build different decks, and I'm going to take my time, and I'm going to find out all these different cards, and I'm going to play with them and kind of put them here, and this is the build that I don't like that strategy part when it's just okay, sit down and play around with your cards and figure out what you want. The reason why I like games like Slay the Spire so much is because it takes that element of the elongated sit down and really think about it for an immaculate amount of time, and instead says, here's the cards you're going to get. This is random. You have to play it out and try to find out what's going to be the best for you. And based on the choices that are given to you, you build a deck from that. And I really enjoy that a lot better because it keeps the pace of the game quicker, which is always one of my concerns with card games is just I don't like sitting down and being like, all right, I'm going to plan this out for like forever where I'm not actually in combat that much. So it's one of those things where that's a piece that also makes me nervous just based on my style of enjoying games. It would probably be that if I did get this game, I would just spend a lot less time and just go into it probably with the starting deck and just be like, all right, I'm just going to keep rolling with this. And every once in a while, I'll just throw a card in or not kind of a thing. So I don't really know. If you're into card games, if you're into strategy games, I definitely recommend this. This looks super dope. From just like you were saying, all angles aesthetically, like from the actual gameplay mechanics wise, like there's a lot that's good about this.
Yeah, even if this doesn't sound like a game you'd want to play, I'd recommend everyone just checking it out
For sure.
and just looking at this art style because it's so nice. And there is something I have to say because I always bring up trailers. This game has a great trailer, and it does something that not many games do, which is something that I absolutely love when you do trailers. You start off fast, you start off heavy, you get into the game mechanics, you actually show people kind of the world, but then you end off the trailer on this soft and more like charismatic note, which they ended off with just this short like little stint of your character fishing. And they actually like have that in the Kickstarter. They're just like, there's fishing in this game. Why not? Kind of a thing. I do really like that. You can simply you simply cannot make a good RPG without a fishing minigame in it. So
there you go.
I just love that little bit of added charisma in this game. I would absolutely check it out. If you guys are interested in the gameplay or you're just listening to this at all, check it out, look at it. It looks awesome. And hopefully people will back it even more so we get to see the cool like stretch goal characters that they'll do because I definitely think that they'll have them, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll have to see. I'm super excited to see where it goes. This is one of those ones where I'm like, God, I'm going to keep seeing this every week when I pick out this game, and I'm going to keep being like, should I give them my money?
Any last thoughts you want to say about Dungeon Drafters over on Kickstarter?
No, I think we covered it.
All right, then. Time to move on to our true last segment of the podcast. These are our random questions. I tweet out a link every Monday for random questions. I, of course, also let you guys know, give you updates, be like, hey, give us questions on Tuesday and Wednesday. I try to be good about it. This week, I almost forgot. Just letting you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
For shame.
Very close to forgetting, but I did not. We got a bunch of questions in from a couple people, so I'm super excited. I just yawned.
I know. Yeah, you seem real excited right now.
Yeah,
just chomping at the bits there.
Chris Penwell writes in and says, pitch a remake of an old game of your choice. Go.
Okay.
What remake do you want?
I'd love a remake of Paper Mario. I've been talking about this for a while. Give me my Paper Mario, damn it. They did it with Bug Fables, which was, an independent developing studio that just made a game that was basically Paper Mario, but with bugs, which was a great game, but I want my Paper Mario.
Don't just pass over that, dude. It's got bugs, dude.
It's got bugs. It's got cute bugs, too. They're pretty cute.
Exactly. You're just glancing over the fact it's got cute bugs. I know. Big Josh boy.
But no, I mean, there's a couple that I could think of. I would want a new Paper Mario. I'd want a remaster. I know it's, I guess remaster remake of the Super Mario RPG. I want a remake of Chibi Robo, which we've talked about on the podcast before.
Because you don't like Ziplash for some odd reason.
Dude, they're totally different games.
I know. I've never played Chibi Robo. I've only played Ziplash.
The original Chibi Robo is like real chill, where you're the little Chibi Robo and your job is literally to just be like an assistant. And so your main jobs are like clean the floor and take care of chores and do all this weird stuff. But there's like this management system of you walking around and your battery's running out and you got to charge up, and all the things that you're doing cost that battery. And then as you're going through the house, you find all these little secrets and locked places, and all the other toys are alive. So like the army people are shooting at you in one room, and you have to like scaffold your way through and get like, there's a lot of cool things about it. I love that game back in the day, and I think a remake of that would be pretty sweet. Not the actual Ziplash one. Fuck that.
For what the fuck am I even saying? For me, remake that I'd actually really like to see, and this is something that a lot of people want, especially because they've already remade Mega Man, like Mega Man X, now Mega Man Zero. I really just want the Battle Network games remade.
That'd be kind of cool.
Like
that was a good
It's
game.
not. Yeah, they're like, it's a cool series, and I definitely want them to re-release those weird ass like gauntlets that you could buy. That shit was dope. They won't, but those were cool. I never got to play with them, but I remember friends having them.
Yeah,
They cool.
Yeah, you know what I'd love to see? I want a Zombie Ate Your Neighbors remake. That was one of my favorite games back in the day, and that has gone
Let
nowhere.
me look at this bad boy. Zombie Ate Your Neighbors. I've never even heard of it.
You've never heard Zombie Ate? Oh my god, man, that was like one of my favorite games on the SNES.
Oh fuck! Just kidding. I've played this game before.
Dude,
I just didn't remember its name.
I love this game. It's so good. I wish they would remake this. They could remake this and even make it like, I don't know if that would make it shitty if they did like a third person thing. It probably would. It wouldn't be the same, but like, I don't know, something to change it up. But I love this game. I thought it was so cool. Oh, I think I just saw recently they like redid this world in Dreams, like in 3D.
I don't know. I haven't seen that one.
Oh man,
They've made a lot of
dude,
shit.
there's some really cool stuff in Dreams. Maybe they'll remake all these games we're talking about. Who knows?
Yeah, cross your fingers. Also a game or two games technically, but some games that I would love to get remakes of. And when I say remakes, I mean like not just remasters, because I guess the Battle Network games would just be remasters, because if you tampered with that gameplay, I imagine people would be annoyed. Mm-hmm. A remake that I would like is actually bringing the Game Boy Advance games and doing remakes of Metabots Metabee Gold and Rokusho Silver.
You lost me.
That would be dope. Yeah, I don't think many people played them. Holy shit, this Metabee Gold is $500. I paid like $40 for it like 2 weeks ago.
You got to sell that shit right now.
I think this is just like, okay, something that really annoys me with Amazon is that if no one else has like a product on Amazon, people will just do the highest price humanly possible. Like the highest price they think somebody will pay for it, even though this is used and used in very good condition. They're like $450. And I'm like, no, the next person is selling this for $50, you dickhead. Like, fuck off.
That's the price.
There's people like that. But I would love to get those, and I'm not talking about the Metabots AX games or whatever. Those fucking blow. I'm talking about Metabots, Metabee Gold, and Rokusho Silver. Those games are dope. They're like Monster Tamers. The fighting system is so weird. I definitely would say change that, because it's similar to like, okay, I gotta explain this to you because it's so odd.
All right.
There's two sides of your screen. There's like the left and the right, and there's kind of this partition in the center. You have your Metabot on the left and your enemy's Metabot on the right. You have them, you choose what action they're going to take. Like, you're like, oh, I'm going to use my head ability, which is a rocket launcher, which takes like power points essentially. It's kind of like PP or like stamina and temp kind of a thing, but it doesn't end up hurting you. You just can't use it. So it's more like PP. You are like, okay, I want you to use this head ability, whatever. And then they have to walk from you all the way to the center. And then when they get to the center, they'll fire, and then they walk back to you. You tell them to do something again, and then they walk all the way back and they fire again. It's so fucking stupid.
Right.
But
Sounds
this game
awful.
is so cool.
Right.
I just want good Metabots games.
Maybe one day.
But
Vaughn.
yeah, those would be the remakes I would ask for, because I do want them to change the battle systems. In that, and also if they could put voice acting just to back me up, instead of having Iki's name be pronounced Icky, just pronounce it Iki. Why would you name your character Icky? Fuck off. It's Iki, okay? I'm not gonna call him fucking Icky.
That good old Icky Vicky.
All right, let's move on to his next question. Chris Penmel also writes in and says, pineapples deserve to be pineapples, just the whole pineapple. On pizza.
Pineapple. I mean, I was with them until it was one full pineapple. I don't know about that.
A pineapple deserves to be on pizza. Do you agree? If not, you're a monster. Big Josh boy, what's your opinion?
We already know this.
Wait, hold up. What's your garbage opinion?
My garbage opinion is that you are wrong. That pineapples deserve to be on pizza. They're delicious.
Pineapples? So you're also saying pineapples now?
They deserve to be.
Just a full pineapple?
No, pineapples pieces. The pineapple diced
Pineapple
up
slices
deserve to be on pizza. Not a full pineapple.
Do you eat, like, okay, when you get this garbage pizza, admittedly,
Delicious
everyone hates
garbage.
it. It's disgusting pizza. When you get this pizza, do you eat it like just straight up like you would normally eat pizza, or do you pick the pineapple off?
No, why would I pick the pineapple off?
Because it fucking sucks. Why
No.
else did you get this pizza?
I fucking chow down. I eat it with everything else that's on it. I fucking stuff it in my face like a normal American who deserves his pineapples on his pizza.
You want to hear the craziest thing that has happened since I was a kid, and I still don't know how? My family always orders pizza, and when they do, they get 3 pizzas every time. They get a pepperoni, they get a meat lovers, and they get a pineapple. I don't know who in my fucking family likes pineapple pizza. Literally no one eats it.
Damn. All right. Maybe I should move over there so I could just always eat that pineapple pizza.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention cost of living is also probably way cheaper here, so, you know, big boy.
I mean, maybe one day.
And you can also sleep on my couch. I did tell you that. So
Yeah.
there's just all sorts of reasons that you should move here.
You're just so giving.
I know. I'm not going to give up the room that I use to record podcasts in, but I'll let you sleep on my couch.
Oh, what an angel.
I know, so nice. But in conclusion, pineapple on pizza is disgusting. Nobody likes it, and I don't know why my family still orders it. They're just like a bunch of fucking monsters. Yeah, if anybody's the monster, it's the person ordering pineapple pizza, okay? Like, I'll eat it if it's there, because I'll pick off the pineapple, but if you're ordering pineapple pizza, you're specifically asking for it.
Oh, I'm asking for
suck,
it.
Okay?
I'm demanding it. I need that pineapple
literally
pizza.
call Pizza Hut. You're like, pineapple on my pizza now. And they're like,
all right.
do you want anything else on this fucking pizza? Like, is this carry out or delivery? And you're just like, what did I just fucking say? Pineapple on pizza.
No.
Now.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly how it is.
You just accost all pizza workers. Maybe that's why Papa John slipped. Was because you called him up and you're like, hey, mofo. Yeah, maybe he wasn't racist before. You made him racist by your demands of pineapple.
I'd like to not be associated with that man.
On to our next question, written in by Chase Hopkins. So
All
he
right,
has
can
two
we,
questions
Can we skip
here.
these 2 questions? I don't really like any of the next
Definitely
questions
not.
that are coming up. I think we could just stop
Absolutely
here.
not. These definitely are necessary. This is like, let's harken back to that good old episode 69.
Nice.
Yeah, big boy. Chase writes in for Avery and says, is sexy time with a zombie cheating?
Well, did you know the person before they turned into a zombie?
Does that matter? I mean,
Does
if you have sex with a stranger, you still cheated.
I suppose that's
Specifically, the thing is a zombie. They are living dead.
Is it forced upon you? Or are you
I guess the real
being a
question
part
here
of it?
is, I guess the real question here would be like, to take it down to its basis elements. Is this necrophilia or is this just sex? Because if it's necrophilia, I feel like it's not cheating, it's just gross. But if it's just sex,
I mean,
then yes, it's cheating.
I think we're getting right back to the same question that he's asking for the second part.
Well, that's also just because we didn't finish that conversation.
I would consider that bestiality thing just gross as well, but it could also be considered cheating, couldn't it? You're still doing something with it. Like, what is the definition of cheating? Is it's
Let's look this up. Let's look this bad boy up.
like
Let's get into semantics here, okay?
All right.
Cheating definition, all right? And I feel like I don't know if this isn't really pertain to relationships, this definition, but let's just go with it. Act dishonestly or unfair in order to gain an advantage, especially in a game of examination, which is what?
I don't know what you're reading.
That's just the definition of fucking. I just thought that was so weird. This like examination specifically. What? What is the definition of cheating on someone? Let's look at that one. Cheat on someone to secretly have sex with someone other than your husband, wife, or partner. It specifies, and it even bolds it. Someone. So
I guess. I mean, do you consider a zombie a person?
Oh, let's look that shit up. Okay, let's see what the consensus on this bad boy is. Zombies, are they people?
I mean,
have you ever watched the show iZombie?
No, I have not.
God, you like fucking pineapple pizza and you want to watch fucking iZombie? You suck.
God damn. All right.
Hey.
Well, this will be my last episode, guys.
Okay, this doesn't help me at all. I say, are zombies, are they people? And then it's like top 5 cases of zombies from the real world. What? And this is medicalnewstoday.com. I feel like that's not true.
That seems awfully weird.
They're like, we got this off WebMD. So in iZombie, like zombies are sentient creatures. They keep their mind by eating brains. So they're just people, but they're also dead. Like, I would say in that case, it is cheating because they are someone. But in this case, where it's just like, if it's a mindless zombie, then no, it is not cheating. That's just necrophilia, and that's gross.
All right. Well, case closed.
Then, Chase also writes in and just wants us to finish off this conversation of, and I feel like he really wants me to read this. You never finish the conversation about whether piping down a dog is cheating too.
I don't like
he
this.
He really found it funny that he wrote piping down a dog.
I don't like this.
So I feel like this also comes down to like our conversation before. Do we think dogs would be classified as someone, or are they something? Do we like hold them on the same level as people?
I mean, I'm pretty fond of dogs, so
they do have personalities.
Yeah.
They feel, they have like charisma, I guess. They learn. They're alive.
Sounds like a person.
Are they someone?
They're someone to me.
They're someone to you. So in your relationship, it seems like bestiality would definitely be cheating.
Yeah, I would assume so. I don't know. I've never thought about it this hard. or ever,
Okay.
I guess.
You know, it's so fucking weird. Okay, so I posed this question to my fiance. I posed the question last week, so I asked you,
You actually talked
if
to your
having sex
fiancé
with an
about this
alien.
weird shit.
Okay,
strange.
so I specifically just asked my fiance. I was like, "Is having sex with an alien cheating?" Because if a hot alien never comes down, I'm gonna try to clap some cheeks. But she then asked me, "Is having sex with a dog cheating?" And I was like, "What?
Wait,
Why
she
did both
asked
of you
you?
go to this?" Yeah,
Oh,
she asked me
man.
the same thing.
Oh, no wonder you love me so much. We're the same person.
Yeah, I'm starting to think so, with the exception of that she doesn't love card games as much as you do.
Well, you don't know yet. I used
That's true.
I used to hate card games. It was a slow burn. You know what I'm saying? It snuck up on me.
The other day, she did say she needs to get into video games. She needs to become a real gamer girl. She doesn't play any video games now except for like a little bit of Ripto's Rage. and Animal Crossing. So
I'll start introducing her to some card games. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I would say the biggest difference between the two of you is you got that big dick energy. And I mean, I cross my fingers that she doesn't have penis energy at all.
That's true. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes you get the dong and sometimes you don't. I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyway.
Okay. Speaking of dongs, our last question is by the guys over at the Classic Gaming Podcast, and I'm not sure if this is Rob or Jay, but I'm gonna go to random leap here and say it's Rob.
For sure, it's Rob.
If you guys listen to this podcast episode, I believe it's like their 170 something, 140 something. It's like excessive. They've got a lot, and they go for hours, so theirs is much more impressive than ours is. Okay.
Yeah. They episode 141 is theirs. That's the one we're on.
Ah, there you go. Listen to that one. Great episode. Goes for like 4 hours. It gets you through most of your workday. He writes in and asks, "Do you prefer Fox McCloud or Falco?" So to give you guys a little bit of background on this bad boy, we were talking about anime butts, and then somehow we got on. Oh no, you know what? This is me kind of like falling over my own words. We were talking about one of the Star Fox games. I believe it was like Star Fox Adventure.
Yeah.
And then I specifically said that one of the Star Fox characters could get it. I was like, that's hot.
Oh, I didn't even realize that was all your fault.
I think it was
you
me.
Monster.
I think I brought it on us, which then prompted Rob to go get a picture of Fox McCloud jerking both himself and Falco off. Okay? So now this comes down to, okay. So everybody knows. Let's look this up. Fox McCloud.
Stop. What are you doing? Why do we have to do this? Why can't this die?
It's a crossover event of the decade, okay? Endgame can suck my ass. Let's talk about Fox McCloud jerking Falco off. Surprisingly, this picture does not come up immediately. There are a lot of anthropomorphic... Oh, shit. That's a girl Falco. That's a thick-ass Falco.
Oh, my God. What is happening?
I'm trying to see if it's down in Google whether... Oh, that's weird. That's just a furry's butthole. I'm going to exit out of this page.
I don't like anything that's happening in the last, 15 minutes
of
this episode.
I'm just going to pop right out of this one. I mean, to end this off, there is a picture of Falco, stripping, but he's super jacked. He doesn't have a penis out, but, he's got some dollars up in that G-string. So, when it comes down to it, which one would you choose, Fox McCloud or Falco?
All right, guys. I'm going to need you to come up with some better questions next time. Where's Sam?
I know. I was like, Sam, you didn't write in an insightful question, and now we've got to go down to, smashing zombies, banging dogs, and which one we'd rather jerk off, Fox McCloud or Falco?
Oh, this has been a hell of a way to end this episode.
Here's the thing. Okay, let's get into this, all right? So... Fox McCloud has fur. He's going to be... He's softer, okay? But then Falco has a bigger penis. Which one do you go for?
I'm not answering this question.
Okay, I'll answer it. If it was that thick-ass Falco, I would choose Falco. Otherwise, Fox McCloud is pretty cool. He wears a sweet jacket.
You're into furries, so Fox.
And he does barrel rolls, so...
That's true.
I feel like furries could also be birds. It's just people who identify as animals.
Is it? Is that what a furry is? Let's not do this. I don't know why I'm feeding this.
I have actually had this argument before. The guy Avery who wrote in the sexy time of the zombie question, I had a full hour-long argument with him over whether furries are people or not if they identify as animals.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Yep.
I'm so enlightened.
And on that note, we're going to end this podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys would like to chat with us outside the show, you can follow us on Twitter at IndiePod. We, once again, are newly named the Indie Pod, or just Indie Pod and Indie Games Podcast. So check us out on Twitter at IndiePod. You can follow me at Hyde Legion, and you can follow Josh at _George90. You can also make sure you keep an eye out for our question tweet that we put out each and every Monday. I try to remind you of it on Tuesday and Wednesday. We also are putting, I'm trying to also make sure, I even set an alarm to make sure that I put out our God Bless the Crowd picks on Thursdays, I believe. So that everyone can brush up on these before we talk about them on Friday, or at least they hear us talk about them on Friday.
For sure. Also,
make sure
we should do a kind of, not really a competition, but like to all the listeners who want to try and provide good names for our little alien character that's coming up, who will be the new main face of IndiePod. Write in your suggestions for what he should be named.
Feel free to write in Ronald, okay?
Do not write
Feel
Ronald.
free.
If you write in Ronald,
the
you will be
majority
blocked.
of people write in Ronald.
If you write in Ronald, you will be blocked.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if they just like they chose to name it the smallest of average Josh boys? They're just like, well, I guess we're stuck now.
They call him Little Josh Boy.
That's it for us this week. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, fam.